Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. Wanted to do something a bit different here today. In a digital age of music, where physical forms of media have become obsolete, why do I still collect and listen to CDs? Let's dive in. In the year 2025, why still collect CDs? These days, music business is very much driven by, singles, less than albums. Some albums are digital exclusives, don't even get CD releases anymore. And the focus in the industry has shifted from, album sales to how many streams an artist can get on Spotify or Apple Music, stuff like that. And the great thing, though, over the last several years has been the vinyl resurgence. You can go to your local record store now and see younger people flipping through vinyl like it's the 70s again, which is really interesting. However, the hype for vinyl has not transferred over to CDs. CD sales fell to 19.1% in 2024, and most retail stores don't even sell them anymore. You'd be better pressed to find a stack of CDs at your local garage sale or, a thrift store instead of your local Target. So that begs the question, why do I continue to collect over 1,100 CDs in 2025? First, let's dive into when I first started seriously collecting. So, for any of you guys who might be around the East Coast, you might remember a record store called Vintage Vinyl, which, despite its name, had an incredible selection of rock and metal CDs too. Unfortunately, in 2021, the store closed down, but that's where I bought my first CD haul, and, I started my collection with the essentials, bands like Alice Cooper, Metallica, Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Megadeth, AC/DC, and more. And it just kind of grew from there. It initially started for me as a cool hobby during the pandemic, because let's face it, there wasn't really much to do around that time except, sit at home and listen to music. And, my collection grew when the world opened back up and I traveled to other record stores, which, are far and few between these days, especially compared to the abundance of record stores that were around, 25 years ago or so that I've only heard about. But why CDs? Why not jump on the bandwagon of the vinyl resurgence as well? Well, I did, as a matter of fact. I do collect vinyl too, but CDs are my preferred media of choice. I have a lot more CDs, and an audiophile will argue with you all day on whether or not CDs or vinyl sound better. Whichever your preference is, I won't dispute that. And I remember the first time I listened to the first pressing of Back in Black on vinyl, and it was like listening to the album for, the first time. It was incredible. So, I love both CDs and vinyl, so CDs have a wider dynamic range, though, than vinyl does, although I'd argue that depends on, what your speaker system is. For me, CDs are also, a lot easier to store. They're more compact, easier to clean, cheaper, and if you have a car from 2019 or earlier, you can listen to some of them in the car as well. Some of my first memories as a kid, was driving around listening to AC/DC and Alice Cooper, and it sucks that CD players have been removed from cars these days because Bluetooth is just not always the convenience that everyone thinks it is. There's nothing more annoying than getting in the car and having to spend 10 minutes connecting your phone to Bluetooth. You have to remove any other Bluetooth devices that might be compatible, have to make sure you're connected to the internet, pair your phone with the car, sync your contacts, and quite frankly, all of that is ridiculous when you can just do this. There's also the problem of shuffle. Unless you want to pay extra, services like Spotify, put albums on shuffle automatically, and you just can't listen to records like Dark Side of the Moon or Quadrophenia out of order. It ruins the listening experience, and it's not the way the albums were intended to be heard in the first place. And so, instead of paying, a monthly subscription service, a premium membership, stuff like that, I can just buy a CD once and listen to it in whatever order I want to. That's not to say that I don't use streaming services at all, or that I think that they're bad. I use streaming a lot, as a matter of fact, when I can't get to my CDs, when I'm out of the house, I'm listening to a record that I don't own. I think it's a great way to stay on top of new releases and to listen to albums that, maybe you're not sure if you want to buy it yet, you want to hear it first. And so an app like Spotify is very handy, but would I want it instead of CDs or vinyl entirely? Absolutely not. And there's also something to be said about, wanting to own a physical copy of music. The same way some people don't want to, listen to books on tape in place of actually holding a copy in your hands, which, maybe I'm just an old soul. But that wraps up this video here of why I prefer to collect CDs or really any form of physical media in an increasingly digital age. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, turn on the bell for notifications so you don't miss a new upload, and be sure to let me know down in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on still collecting physical media now in 2025 where everything is so digital? Do you prefer to collect hard copies of your music, whether it be on CD, vinyl, cassette, 8-track, etc., whatever your preferred form of media is, or maybe you're on the other side. Maybe you prefer streaming. I definitely want to hear from you guys, so please let me know your opinions down in the comment section below, and until next time, it's the CD guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Take care, everybody.